Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. It's me, KiaSimone, and let's get into part one of these Housewives reunion. I'ma just tell you straight up from the door, I am quite underwhelmed. With everything from the dresses to the drama, I am just not impressed. But child, let's just get into it. Before we do, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. And I gotta give a shout out to my super thanksers. Thank y'all. And shout out to Yvette Greer, Faye Coleman, Tanya Fuller, Plum, Renee, Gail Penn, and on Cash App, Ashley Hunter and Lorenzo Malone. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all so very much. So the reunion kicks off like they do, with Andy going to visit all the ladies in their dressing rooms to make sure they are awake and afraid for this reunion. Sanya is super nervous. She said the night before felt like she was getting ready for the Olympics. Drew don't even know what's going on. She's on the phone trying to get her a marriage counseling session in with Dr. Ken before she go take the stage, because we know her dysfunctional marriage is the star of her show. Marlo done turned her fitting room into a damn Hollywood dressing room fit for a Hollywood actress, which is exactly what she came to this reunion to be. Sheree is in the back getting makeup done and joggers made by empty damn body but her clothing line. Kenya is clocked in, dressed, and ready to go. And Kandi is in her fitting room rehearsing her I'm worldwide line. The ladies take the stage. First out to the stage is Drew. Now, I'm going to tell you, Drew works my nerves, but she absolutely served a look. I think Drew picked up whatever Portia left on the table with her not being here this season, and she ran with it. Next out is Sanya. Sanya looks like a first season arts and crafts project. She it's just no. I don't know if this is some initiation ritual. I don't know why they would have this girl up there in this homemade ass dress. Next to the stage is She Be Playing in Our Face, Miss Sheree, in a classic red number. She has a one shoulder cleavage out, trumpet style train following her classic red dress. She said, keep all y'all embroideries, embellishments, all that extra. Johnny Gill was talking about me, baby. I don't need all that extra stuff. Following Sheree is Kandi. Now, I liked Kandi's look. I just felt like it should have been sized differently. The slit felt like it would bust at any moment. Then we have Marlo. Marlo, I'm sorry. She gave me Kiki Shepard at Showtime at the Apollo. What was all that extra tulle coming out the side of her? Why? Marlo ain't concerned about all these attachments and they done added to her dress, because she got the seat right next to Andy. It's her first year, her first peach, and she got the first seat. Well, she's about to earn that mother. Last to the stage is Kenya, and she's also wearing a red dress with more of some sequin embellishments. And Kenya said this was her fifth dress. She said they weren't going to play her like they done played some of these other heifers sitting up here. Yeah, I saw what they had for y'all. They wasn't going to do me like that. I've been doing this pageant a long time. You won't play with me. They start out by exploring the whole who is the current bone collector question, because we know historically that has been Sheree. Sheree will run everybody's business but her damn own. So they run back through the footage to see, is Sheree still the bone collector, or does the title now belong to somebody else? Well, through the footage, they determined that all you bitches is messy, okay? They have everybody carrying bones to some of everybody. So now that they have evened the playing field, they just have them argue amongst themselves about who's the messiest bitch. So Kandi said, well, Drew, I'm going to go ahead and nominate you to be the bone collector, since you were throwing actual doggy bones all season. Well, since Sanya has pretty much been declared the bone collector this season, Andy asked Sanya, how do you feel about Sheree calling you the bone collector? And she says, yeah, I don't want that title. Girl, you worked your ass off for that title, so you can go ahead and take this title and put it right up next to your damn gold medals. So the next question to come up is a question to Sheree about whether she had Fatum to do her dirty work and spill whatever this tea was about Drew's husband, Ralph, and Drew's assistant. Sheree said absolutely not. One, because I didn't know any of that, nor did I actually believe it. So while Sheree is basically denying that she encouraged Fatum to share this information at all, Drew says, I don't believe you. And Sheree's like, you don't believe what? She said, I don't believe you because what was Anthony to you? What was he, your helper? And here Sheree goes, well, let's call him. Let's just call him and see. Andy said, no, No, we don't need to call nobody. Please, just answer the damn questions and move on, because y'all already getting on my nerves. So the next question is directed at Marlo, and the question was, do you feel a way that Sheree went and told Kenya that you told her that she used to drive Lisa Ray's Range Rover? And Marlo said no, because that's what I heard. Kenya said, well, let's clear that up, because I was recently doing an interview where I was actually talking to Lisa Ray. And Lisa Ray said that she never said that. That was to hit Marlo with a good, I actually have relationships in this industry. What kind do you have? The next question to come up is regarding Kenya going back and forth between Drew and Sanya, and repeating to Sanya that Drew said that Sanya doesn't have a mind of her own. Before Kenya could finish answering, they decide this is our chance. Next thing you know, Drew and Sanya are going back and forth. Drew said, well, I don't feel any kind of way because I said it and I stand behind it. Sanya said, what, that I don't have a mind of my own? Drew said, you don't have a mind of your own. I mean, you're a great runner, but Sanya said, no, I'm much more than a great runner. And the fact of the matter is, we've been on the earth the same amount of time, and I've achieved everything I've achieved, and you've only managed to achieve mediocrity. Andy, could y'all please go to break so Drew could get her face off the floor, please? So we move on to the segment of this reunion where the spotlight is on She by She Be Lying. And this is when I became clear on just how full of Sheree is. Because Sheree sat there smiling and clapping and high-fiving, knowing she was planning to fail. Andy said, I was so happy to see it get done. I actually shed a tear. I really did. Andy, we all did. And we all got played. And I think you might have been in on it. Why is y'all playing in our face? So Andy says, so where is She by Sheree right now? And she says, She by Sheree is finished. Andy said, well, hold on. Because when I go to SheBySheree.com, there's no fashions. Andy, we have been asking the same question. Sheree says, well, no, it's not up yet because it's going to launch right at the season finale. I mean, look that man straight in the face and lied. Just lied. Like, why? Just why, Sheree? Why? Andy says, so it's going to be up. The website is going to be running. I can click. I can buy. She said, yep, you lie. And then when the damn site did start working, the heifer want $252 for a hoodie. On my best day, you wouldn't get light bill money for a hoodie. So, of course, Andy asked Sheree about her previous reunion moment where she announced that She by Sheree would be ready in spring, summer, September of the year that she didn't remember. Andy said, yeah, that moment was pretty big. So was that ever humiliating for you? Sheree basically explains the process by which she chooses to lie. She said, well, I just was really caught off guard when you asked me that, because for me, my focus has always been my children. Raising my children has been my focus. So yeah, when you asked me that, it kind of threw me off. Andy looked at her and said, okay, well, why not just say that? Why not just say it's not a priority? Why would you say it'll be out in spring, summer, September? Sheree responds by basically explaining that the public wanted this for her more than she wanted this for herself. That everybody just kept asking her about it. Kenya said, well, Sheree, it kind of becomes like your house. You know how your house took forever to build? At some point, we just want to see you win. So the next question to Sheree is about this whole shopping experience that Marlo had set up for her to get over being stood up by Tyrone. The question is, did Marlo really make you pay for the stuff with your own credit card? And did you return anything the next day? Child. Sheree said, yes, Marlo actually made me pay for my own stuff. How do you throw me a party and give me a gift with my credit card, child? Can you say exactly, buy a scarf, something? Damn, you always bragging about your fashions. Buy something. I mean, and I have to agree. I just thought it was a little bit tacky to have this whole display and say, you know, basically I'm so fabulous that I have access to have Fendi come to my home. I am friends with the president of Fendi, and I'm going to do this for my girlfriend, but girl, the bill is on you. That was just tacky. I guess my thing is you can't half-ass being a big dog. Either you a big dog or you ain't. So if you want to do big dog things like say, look, I know you're having a rough day, month, week, something like that, okay? I just want to do something nice for you. Go all the way. Don't say I set up a storefront for you. Do you have your credit card? Because you going to send me home depressed and in debt? Like, damn. They move on to a question that's directed to Kandi, because Kandi has been apparently talking about Sheree in her Speak On It videos on YouTube. And so the question was about why is she throwing her so much shade in her reviews on YouTube if she's supposedly in support of her. And so they show clips of Kandi, and she's saying like, y'all know that She by Sheree ain't out. The She by Sheree is not sheing. It's not sheing by Sheree. Kandi responds by saying she's always in support of She by Sheree, but yes, she has been throwing shade, and she's been throwing shade because Sheree has been throwing shade. And Sheree said, well, I don't know what the hell you talking about, because I ain't throwing nothing but my F at this new man I got. So what is you talking about? So Andy steps in to remind Sheree, hey, you did do some confessionals where you was talking a little bit of trash. So, of course, they showed that footage of Sheree and Marlo, where Marlo was ripping Kandi's ass to shreds. And Sheree was sitting there being the amen corner, like, girl, yeah, you right. Yeah, she was a hoe. Yeah. She showed this sleep with everybody for free. And they showed her in the confessional co-signing about the Kandi in locker rooms comment about, well, I mean, why is she offended? She's everywhere else, so why is she offended? Like, yeah, Sheree, you had talk your shit now. You gonna have to take your ginkgo biloba. So Kenya tries to remind Sheree that at the end of the day, at the bottom of it all, Kandi is rooting for her. Sheree say, yeah, I believe that. I believe everybody was rooting for me. However, it's hard to believe that Kandi is genuinely rooting for me when every week I'm getting people sending me these videos she's doing online talking about me. And I mean, I get it because I'm good clickbait. Kenya said, ooh, not clickbait, girl. Kenya is literally just there for the bullshit. Kandi said, you think I need you for clickbait, honey? Sheree said, well, you use me every week, so there's that. So they move on to the next shady question, which is, Sheree, why are you always shading Drop It with Drew when it took you 14 years to produce fashions that we still cannot buy? If someone would direct me to the collection plate. Sheree says, well, because I am fashion, I represent fashion, so a fashion line makes sense for me. She does not represent fitness. Sheree won't produce a damn jogger, but she will produce the shade, because I'll be damned. Drew said, I represent health and wellness because I was open about my health issues, and I had a whole hysterectomy. I don't even have a uterus anymore. Sheree said, and a mommy makeover, so. Sheree said, bitch, we don't sell sympathy here, okay? We specialize in shade. Sympathy is sold separately. You can get out my face with all your health issues, bitch. I don't care. So now Drew, in her victim voice, says, well, we've all pretty much had something done up here, right? So Sheree says she got her boobs done. Drew says, yeah, you got your boobs done, your butt done. Now she had uncrossed the damn line. Sheree said, got my butt done. Is you crazy? This is real squats, not shots, honey. So Drew goes into saying how the whole point of Drop It with Drew was that she's had 3 kids. She wanted her body back. And so she decided to have surgery done. I don't get how that's the point of Drop It with Drew when Drop It with Drew is a workout program. I do get how the point of her having the mommy makeover is to get her body back and get her confidence back. But the two don't tie together for me, that I went and had surgery because I want to promote a workout program. They don't make sense together. So the next question to Sheree is, that both Chateau Sheree and She by Sheree took years longer than they should have. So is the rumor that you don't pay your bills true? And if not, then why did both of these projects take so long? Sheree said, because greatness takes time. Sheree is a senior level scammer. Sheree said, I work at my own pace. I don't have to rush. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. My main focus is my kids and raising my family. Andy said, but your kids been grown for a long time now. Sheree said, well, they ain't been grown for 14 years. Drew said, well, so you don't pay people because of your kids? Because hell with the time frame. We all got kids. If we ain't paying bills because of kids, please tell me the loophole, because I got a few I don't want to pay either. Sheree said, no, ma'am, I pay everybody that needs to be paid. Drew said, well, you didn't pay me. So Andy said, well, hold on, because that got me curious. You said you pay the people who need to be paid. If people send you a bill, do you pay the bill people send you? Sheree said it depends on what it is. Basically, if it ain't a damn utility that's going to leave me without light food or water, it's not a priority. Everything else is a luxury, and any bill you send me is basically a starting bid on a negotiation, because that's how this is going down. So to justify her bullshit, Sheree starts trying to pull the other ladies in. Sheree says, like, for example, just last night, Marlo and I were talking. And Marlo was saying how she doesn't like her dress. And because she doesn't like her dress, she's not going to pay the lady the rest of the money. Marlo said, hold on, bitch. Sheree said, okay, when you said that, my response to you was, so it makes sense when you say you're not going to pay a person because you weren't satisfied with the work. But when I say I'm not going to pay them because they did a horrible job, it's wrong. Marlo said, hold on, wait a minute now. I was joking. Number one, don't put me in that because you ain't gonna have them dragging my name. They already calling me scammers and hookers and everything else. You will not put me in that bullshit. That was a joke. And I was saying, oh, I ain't gonna pay the lady and they gonna be talking about me like they talk about you. But I didn't mean it. I'm absolutely going to make sure she gets her money because I pay everybody. So Kenya starts to explain to Sheree, if you're not satisfied, it doesn't absolve you from paying. Sheree said, huh? That is a foreign concept to her. Excuse me, what? So Andy said, yeah, can you please explain this to her? Kenya said, yes. Let me explain the law to you. When you contract someone for services and you're not satisfied with the services rendered, you don't get to just not pay them. She said you pay them for the services rendered and then you just don't use them again. You know what I mean? Sheree said, hold on, break this down to me like I'm 5. So if you got a contract, Andy is in the background laughing like this can't be real. This is serious. She dead ass. She really be out here scamming like this. Kenya is explaining to her, yeah, if you have a contract to pay someone for a service provided, unless there's a clause in your contract for your satisfaction, yeah, you're going to have to pay them people their money. And then if you're not satisfied with the job performance to the degree that you don't want to pay them, you're going to have to remedy that through a legal process. That's what small claims court is for, honey. Now, Kenya didn't explain the small claims part to her, but I'm assuming she might already know that from some of her own experiences. So Andy says, Sheree, if you go get a haircut and you don't like the haircut, do you not pay? Sheree said, well, yeah, I ain't gonna lie now. Yeah, I pay. I've been absolutely pissed and paid. Yeah, because it's a few places you ain't gonna try that bullshit. And one of them is in a beautician's chair. You want to see somebody go from beauty to the beast? Okay. The next question is to Kandi about why Kandi always uses off-camera information to undermine the ladies and throw them under the bus. Before she tried to deny that she does this, the person who asked the question listed a bunch of examples. They said, for example, like when Phaedra was dating while she was separated, when Dennis had tattoos of women's names, Marlo dating your cousin, and now how Sheree paid for her house. Kandi is, whoa, hold on, wait a minute. Of course they show the footage from her speak on it, where she's on YouTube talking trash about how Sheree paid for her house and whether Tyrone contributed any of his ill-gotten gains. Kandi says, how am I throwing people under the bus if they throw me under the bus and I'm just responding? From what I've seen of the clips I've seen, because I don't watch Kandi speak on it, that's not what you're doing. What you're doing is you're getting on the internet as a cast member of this show, using your privileged information and privileged access to these people to say things on the internet that you don't say to their face on this show. It's giving very much what Heavenly does. I don't know if Bravo does this, where they pick one from each cast that's gonna go on the internet and talk all their trash, but it's giving very much what Heavenly does. So since Kandi is taking no accountability, she's not wrong. She doesn't throw anybody under the bus. I don't know what you're talking about. I am just doing my job. Marlo said, okay, all right, well, I got a question. Let's me and you talk, okay? She said, now you tell me if and when I'm lying. She said, Todd called me about a show. Kandi stopped her right about there. So I'm already lying? Yeah, pretty much. Kandi said, well, what happened was you had already reached out to me about a show, which is why Todd in turn reached out to you. So they're going back and forth about who reached out to who first before we can even get to what lie is being told. And Marlo is like, Kandi, like, girl, why would I reach out to you when you don't produce shows? So Kandi explains that the reason all of this was happening at this time in terms of this whole back and forth about getting on a show is that Marlo was not on Housewives. And so they were trying to find her another opportunity. So Andy finally asked, can somebody please tell us what is the point of this story at all? What are y'all getting at? Marlo says, well, even if the circumstances are exactly what Kandi says, even if everything Kandi says is true. If Kandi set out to find me an opportunity, at the end of the day, when you get that kind of an offer, you have to sign a contract. When I got the contract, I reviewed the terms, and the terms were not right for me. So I decided to pass on this opportunity. And I feel like ever since I turned that opportunity down, Kandi has felt a certain type of way because she continues to bring up, I tried to help Marlo. I tried to get Marlo a show. I tried to get her on her own show. Marlo said, get over it. I looked at the contract. I decided I didn't want to do it. I don't know why you feel a way about it. And so, of course, they show clips from Kandi on YouTube talking to some individual about how she got Marlo a contract for a whole nother show on a whole nother network. Kandi said, well, the reason any of this is coming up this season is because you came on this show on this season and told people that I never try to help anybody. And my whole point was that I tried to help you. Marlo said, but you didn't try to help me. Todd tried to help me. Now, Marlo. Now you're doing that divide and conquer thing again, Marlo. Todd is Kandi's husband. And if there's an opportunity that came through Todd and was offered to Marlo, Kandi is somewhere in that mix. Now, I think she thinks Kandi wanted to help her with an agenda. I think she does not think this was just, I want to help you. I just want to see you win. I think she feels like there was strings attached. So as Marlo and Kandi are screaming at each other, Sheree interjects to say, hey, excuse me, this is the she be lying moment. Please, could y'all step back? Andy resumes with asking her about Tyrone, why you chose to practice abstinence with Tyrone after he came home. Sheree said, yeah, do you really want me to go into that? Do you really want the details? Andy said, yes, I want to know. They want to know. We want to know. Yeah. Sheree said, Andy, I just couldn't take it no more, okay? I couldn't take it. I couldn't fake it. I couldn't make it. I couldn't do it, all right? It was horrible. The next question is about whether Sheree thinks Tyrone was using her. And if so, what was he using you for? And she said, yes, I think he was using me. And she goes on to explain that he was using her to do some sort of deals. And I think she means using the platform or using his connection and attachment to the Housewives franchise to maybe secure deals for appearances or things of that nature. That is a complete speculation, but that's kind of what I'm reading in between the lines from what she's saying, because it wasn't clear to me. But she's saying that he was trying to secure some sort of deals and that some contract ended up having to be brought to her for her to sign because she's the actual housewife and he isn't. And when she wouldn't sign the papers for those deals, that really, really pissed him off. So that might have been the beginning of their end. So then we get into Sheree's New Boo segment, where Andy is asking Sheree questions about her new boo, who we know is Martell Holt. So he asks her, how long she's been seeing him, and she says a few months. He says, well, what does he do? She says, he who? Why Sheree is playing dumb, I don't know. Andy says, your new boyfriend, what does he do? Sheree said, well, I didn't say I have a boyfriend. Girl, get the hell out of our face, this bullshit. Andy said, okay, well, you've been dating somebody for a few months. What the hell does the man do? Okay. Sheree said, well, he's on another show and he does real estate. That's what he told you. He told you he do real estate. And he has a wine line that he just launched. That shit about as launched as that she by Sheree. Just, girl. Andy said, are y'all serious? Sheree said, I'm just having fun. I'm just enjoying myself. Sheree said, I'm just trying to take it day by day. And Andy said, so you feel comfortable? And she said, yes. Kenya said she feels something. I don't know if it's comfort. Kenya is throwing down the red flags. This is stigmatized, okay? So the next question to Sheree is, why would you get with this man knowing what he's done to his ex-wife? Do you just ignore red flags? Sheree said, well, I think we all ignore red flags. Girl, what? Andy said, and what did he do to his ex-wife? Sheree said, I don't know. Kenya said cheated and had a baby. Well, he cheated and he cheated some more. And then the last time he cheated, he had a baby. But yeah, that's what he did. Sheree said, now watching the show, he doesn't seem like anybody I would ever talk to, much less date. She said, but to get to know him, of course, he's a very attractive guy, but I've never been the girl that cared about looks. I don't care about that kind of stuff. Kenya said, we've seen Bob. Kenya, girl, she has children with this man. You can't say shit like that. This girl said, we know because we've seen Bob. We know. You don't give a damn about looks, girl. Sheree said, yes, that is the truth. But all things aside, getting to know him, while he is a very attractive guy, he is totally different than the character that you see on TV. I promise you. Girl, a promise is comfort for a fool. And I wouldn't buy a promise, a vow, or a sweatshirt from you. You and your promises can go straight to hell. So we move on and we get to the Drew versus Sanya segment. And of course, we see the whole breakdown between Drew and Sanya that happened throughout the season. And Andy says that, he really enjoyed the energy of what their friendship was when it started out, but they fell apart and he asked them, where are they today? Sanya says, well, I actually get along with everybody but Drew. But I think that was the intent of the plan all along. I'm just saying. So Drew starts explaining that she doesn't know exactly why Sanya has an issue with her. That they started out just fine before the season started. She actually had Sanya over to her home for her mom's birthday party. She introduced Sanya to some people. Sanya said, who you introduced me to? Drew said, I introduced you to Shamia. She said, oh, okay, yeah, you did. Drew said, hold on, just calm down. Sanya said, yeah, I just want to make sure you give all the details because you'll try to make things seem bigger than they are. And so Drew was like, look, I don't know where this energy is coming from. I don't know why she has an issue. I really don't get it. Sanya said, so you still don't know why I have an issue with you? Drew said, I'm waiting. I do not know what your problem is. Sanya says, you know what my problem is? You know what she's done to me? It's the way she's milked this issue. Drew said, milking the issue. Sanya says, in that scene, when they were all in this hotel room, and Sanya confronted Drew in front of the ladies, Drew made a statement that Sanya hadn't said anything to her about this issue when they were in private together, and that was a lie. That she had a private conversation where there were no producers, no cameras. It was just Sanya, Drew, Ralph, I believe, and her makeup artist. And she says in that conversation, she expressed to Drew how she felt about Drew's approach to the relationship. Drew flat out denies it. Drew said, no, that didn't happen. And Andy said, so y'all didn't have an off-camera conversation? She said, no, we did not. Sanya about lost her shit. Sanya said, Drew, don't lie, because you, me, your makeup artist, and your husband had a conversation where I told you I had just had a conversation with Kenya about how I felt about you and your approach to the ladies. You're lying. Sanya says that when she first met Drew seemed like a very fun, jovial kind of person. And Drew confided in her that she is that kind of person, but for some reason with these ladies, she's been perceived as confrontational, and she's not that girl. Sanya says shortly after coming into the group, she realized that every time the ladies got together, Drew was being the exact person Drew said she does not want to be perceived as. She was always confrontational. So she had this conversation with Kenya about how she felt about Drew. And because she didn't want Drew to be blindsided by the conversation that she had with Kenya, Sanya had her own conversation with Drew to explain to her, that they had this previous conversation, to tell her how she was coming across, and to say that Kenya is probably going to bring this up. So that'll be your opportunity to ask, is that really how I'm coming across to the ladies? But rather than do that, she pulled a 180 and flipped the script on me. When we got on that couch, she acted like we never had a conversation, acted like I was blindsiding her, and couldn't believe that I was bringing this up in front of the ladies when we had a whole conversation about how and why this would come up with the ladies. Drew continues to deny everything. I don't know what you're talking about. We ain't never had no off-camera conversation. Sanya is losing it. Sanya kept calling her all kinds of liars. You is lying, and I'm not about to play this game with you. So as Sanya and Drew are going back and forth, yelling at each other about what conversation didn't happen and who's a damn lie, Andy interjects to ask the question that was sent in by a viewer that says, Drew, why do you always overtalk people? And do you realize that that's probably why you can't resolve any of the issues in your marriage or with any of your friends like Sanya? Drew says, well, actually, I've been actively working on that with Dr. Ken. Andy said, yeah, well, how's it working today? If y'all don't like Drew, why y'all don't just tell her that? So the next question is posed to Sanya, where this viewer wants to know how Sanya felt seeing Marlo agree with Drew that Sanya is a clout chaser because she didn't invite the other ladies to her work event. She only invited Kandi and Kenya, who have the most followers on social media. Sanya says, well, she feels like Marlo didn't really know her at the time, but now that Marlo has gotten to know her, she knows that that's not the case, that she's not a clout chaser, and that's not why she did that. And so Andy said, well, when you look at it, these two people do have the most followers. So it does look like maybe you invited the two people who had the most followers to your work event to give it the most exposure. I mean, that would only make sense. Sanya said, well, no, that's not the case because originally I invited Drew. So was I trying to clout chase off of her 500,000 followers or whatever it is that she has? Well, actually, that's a possibility. If everybody on this platform had a bigger following than you, then any of it could have been clout chasing. And yeah, it does kind of look like what happened is you had access to this person first, and through this person, you got access to bigger figures. So you social climbed and said, well, they would be more beneficial to me than you would. So let me work on building a relationship with them. That's how it looks. Now, Sanya did start to tear up as she explained that she wasn't trying to clout chase on anyone. She was just trying to genuinely get to know everyone, and her feelings are really, really hurt that she would be accused of or perceived as being a clout chaser. So Andy asked Drew and Sanya, basically, is there any hope of saving this friendship, or is it broken for good? And Drew says, well, I said what I said. I said she's a flip-flopper, and I meant that, so. Andy said, okay, well, Sheree, would you say that Drew is a flip-flopper? I don't know how the hell Sheree got snatched into it, because I sure thought this was between Sanya and Drew, but okay. Sheree said, well, I don't know about Drew being a flip-flopper, but she's definitely a liar. Well, damn. Drew said, well, I've never been called that. Sheree said, that's another damn lie, because you've been called that by everybody up here, and everybody was pretty much like, yeah, your ass be lying. So we move on to the Marlo segment, and I'm going to tell y'all, somebody should have told sis that the Emmys have been handed out, okay? Because the way she sat up there and acted was too much for me. They start out the Marlo segment by showing, of course, her package over the season of her and her nephews, her putting the nephews out, her mom coming to visit. And so it ends, of course, like the season did, with her mom's visit. And Andy is asking her, did her mom get to visit with her nephews? And Marlo's, yeah, she did. Andy said, that makes you emotional? What does that do to you? I need her. I just need her, Every little girl needs her mom and her dad, And my mom, I don't think she gets it. I dry as Sahara. That was one of the best visits in years, but she left there and just went back to her same old ways, not being around, not being a grandmother. But I hate to talk about her, because her childhood was rough. My grandmother didn't know how to be a mom, so she went through a lot. But I just want my mom sometimes, like if I have a bad day or if the girls make me mad, I just want to go talk to my mom, I love to see when Mama Joyce protects Kandi, or when she gets an attitude at me because, moms are supposed to do that. I just feel like I have this shield up, especially since I ran away at the age of 10. And I just feel so alone, because these girls, they don't make me feel worthy. Marlo gonna need to get on a therapist couch on her way to hell, okay? Marlo has been the bane of a lot of people's existence for a very long time. Marlo has specialized in going below the belt for a very long time. So I do not buy this bullshit. Now, meeting her mother in the last episode made what's wrong with Marlo make a lot of sense. But what you're not gonna do is drag everybody for filth for years. Throw Kenya's mama in her face. But as soon as you get the spotlight on you and you do all kinds of foolishness and it's time to get your ass handed to you, you want to sit up here and cry and retell this rehearsed victim story. I'm not buying it. So we spend just about the entirety of this segment listening to Marlo's childhood story about how she ran away and she was with the first foster family, but the dad was also abusive, and so that didn't work out, and she got sent to another lady, and the lady was really strict, and so she was telling people the lady was strict and she didn't like living with her. She came home one day, the lady told her, you got to go, just pack your stuff and get out because you out here telling people I'm mean and you're not going to be affecting my reputation. And she essentially tells a whole bunch of stories about people who are just like her, who did to her what she did to her nephews, which is why I have a hard time finding a lot of sympathy and empathy in this particular moment and in this space, because what you're explaining is how you became the same monsters who hurt you. So Andy asked her, what does it do to you being a kid in search of a home like that? And she responds, I don't know, Andy. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I just know it hurts. I'm sure your nephews would say the same thing. I'm sorry, I'm not falling for the whole woe is me act, because this whole woe is me is to deflect from the whoa, look at this me did. That's what this is about. So before we can ever really even get in her ass about what she did to her nephews, about the low down shit that comes out of her mouth and all of that, no. She has to set it up so that she's the victim first. Girl, go to hell. And of course, she takes off into her bullshit because she's supposed to be so emotional and upset right now, but she's using this time to be absolutely messy because she, I don't know, it's just, not being accepted into circles and things. And like, Kenya always says, I'm iconic, and she says that I'm an ex-con. Well, I'm an iconic ex-con because I'm sitting here with you, a media mogul. Kenya looked like she couldn't take this bullshit no more at that point. I'm sitting here with Sheree, the original OG of this platform, with the former Miss USA, a Grammy artist, 4-time track star, an actress. So I cry and I hurt because I want a mommy sometime. I want a dad sometime. First of all, what? Because what does any of that have to do with what? So Andy asked Sheree, have you ever talked with Marlo this, in depth about her past and what she's been through? Sheree said, never, ever this deep. This is the first time I'm hearing any of this. Yeah, because none of this ever mattered to this degree. It was never this important. What she's doing is mounting a deflection and a defense from all the bullshit she's done all season. That's why all of a sudden we're getting all this detail about woe is me. Girl, get out my face. So they asked Kandi about it, and Kandi said, well, no, I never knew about how many places she had been to. I learned more about her when I met her mom, but here goes Marlo. Well, Anthony could tell you more about it. Anthony used to hear her call and curse me out, and Anthony knew I would send money. And so, your god brother really knows that he was there for me at my weakest moments. Andy said, is Anthony, your god brother, some good friend of you? Are y'all friends? Marlo said, well, I used to date her god brother, Anthony. Andy asked Marlo if her wanting to be accepted and all of these issues she has, is that why it meant so much to her to get a peach? Marlo said, I'm going to be honest with you. There were times when I would wonder, why not me? I mean, I work hard. And it just went to where, you numb yourself, and it's like, you know what? You're not worthy enough, or you're too ghetto, as they would say, or you're an ex-con. And it's like, look at me. Can I fit in? Can you love me? So Andy asked Kenya, was Marlo the kind of housewife that you thought she would be? Kenya said no. And he said, well, why not? She said, because instead of showing people what a great heart she has and what kind of great friend she can be, she decided to go the opposite way. That's why. And Andy said, well, in New York, she showed you she could be a great friend. And of course, they flash back to the scene where Kenya is having hell with Mark, where he wants her to come get this damn baby because he got plans. And Marlo is trying to comfort her and encourage her in the restaurant, tell her, don't worry about it, just get your baby and tell him go to hell. Kenya said, yeah, that was very kind of her, but a great friend is quite the stretch. And Marlo says, well, I was looking at that scene and I was thinking, look at me leaning on her, and she was letting me hold Brooklyn and things. So it was really positive for me. Kenya said, yeah, and then you turned around and weaponized all of that against me and started throwing my husband in my face. Now, Kenya, about that. Is he still your damn husband, or is you still holding on? Cause that was a red flag for me. Why is you still calling that man your husband? Since Marlo is in character, Marlo said she's sticking to her damn lies. Marlo said, I never said anything about her husband this season. So Andy asked Marlo, he said, it does seem like you've suffered some emotional abuse at the hands of men. So how does that affect how you approach relationships? Marlo says, I do have issues with men. I do. Because I feel like I don't fucking need you. The man who was supposed to be here wasn't. And I'm going to take care of my shit on my own. So Andy asked her, has she ever had an emotionally and sexually fulfilling relationship with a man? Why? Emotionally fulfilling, I get. Sexually fulfilling, why? Marlo says no. And it's because, with her running away from home at 10, being in 5 different foster homes, you can only imagine what she's been through. And she goes into how they couldn't walk a mile in her shoes. They don't know what it's like to live on the streets or to surf from couch to couch or, and then they go around calling her a whore and a prostitute and nobody can produce a man that she's ever been with. But they like to belittle her because of fashions, because she likes to take her credit and dress well. And this episode of the reunion came to an end with Kenya saying, that's not true. Marlo is so absolutely full of it's not even funny. I'm not moved by this act. I'm sorry if that offends. This is literally a way to keep people off her ass after she has been public enemy number 1 for throwing those damn boys under the bus. That's what this is. And it looks like that's going to be the theme for part 2 of the reunion. It's going to be Marlo versus Kenya. We going sob story for sob story. Child, we'll get into it next week. That's it. That's all. I ain't got no more. Thank you so much for coming down here, listening to me, and letting me get this off my chest. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. And as always, in the meantime, until next time, I love you and I mean it. Bye.